to try to make conditions better. Flow path concerns are big in a single-family home as well. So here we have a wind-driven fire, but I'm going to show it to you with and without wind. So basically, the wind was coming from this direction, 17 to 26 miles an hour. The firefighters entered on side A, on the downwind side. The firefighters entered the front door, and their hose line was abandoned here in the rear toward the rear of the house. And what's on the back side of the house is a 16-foot wide glass enclosed patio. So that's on the upwind side of the house. We have the victims made their way, they left the line, they made their way here, and that's where their bodies were found. Fire started in the attic. It was well involved by the time the fire department arrived, by the time the homeowners noticed the fire. The homeowners then wanted to save some vehicles, so they opened the garage door. The door between the house and the garage was left open, and the garage door was left open. They got one of their vehicles out of the garage. Fire department arrives. They force entry into the front door, and you can see where the damage pattern basically is the wind is feeding it. There were some holes cut on the roof here, sort of just above the foyer area here. Ladder company cut some vents in the roof. So we modeled it, again, with our fire dynamic simulators. We're modeling the whole house. We're modeling the vent. We're trying to model the fire department actions, where ceiling was pulled, where the vents were cut, where the ignition source is, and the solarium failure. So this version of the model is going to show you what would happen if we vent the solarium and there's no wind. So right now the garage door is open. The door to the garage from the kitchen is left open, as the homeowners did. The front door is closed. The fire is dropping down from the attic and starting to work its way around the interior of the structure. Anything above red is 500 degrees Fahrenheit or above. The front door is now open. After they open the front door, they kneel in there, masking up and getting their gear on. Engine 26, which were the two victims, now has entered the house. Engine 36 follows behind. Engine 36 didn't get as deep into the house. They started to pull the ceiling. They were trying to flow water up here. So now we have the ladder company up on the roof. And they start cutting holes. But remember, in this simulation, there's no wind. So the roof is vented, and you actually see a decrease in temperature over here in the area where the roof is vented. So think about it. The flow path's going from the front door to the roof vent. Now the solarium windows have failed. So the heat is now moving out of the solarium windows. So we have an inlet and an outlet there. We're losing a lot of heat right there. And we have an inlet and an outlet here. So we're sort of short-circuiting the fire a little bit, and things are getting better in the house. This is a big vent, 16 feet wide. What happens when the window panels fail and they're now exposed to wind? So same situation, same fire department actions, but now we have wind hitting the back of the house. The fire's developing again. Door open, front door still closed. The front door's open, the firefighters are now on the porch masking up. Notice how we start getting additional heat once the front door is open. They now enter the structure, they go down the hallway, and get into this rear room where they start fighting fire. When they were last seen by engine 36, as the heat is forcing them out of the house, these guys were still standing. So now the ladder company's up on the roof. They said when they made their first cut, flame came out of the cut right away. They kept cutting. They punched down the ceiling. And when he looked over, he saw about 1 foot of fire coming over the eave. Then he looked again, and he saw 16 to 20 feet of fire coming over the eave. That's when the window failed. So the window fails, the air comes in, and what happens? Well, there's the flow path, right? Coming in here, down the front door. So it's possible they couldn't stay on the line to follow it out because it was just too hot because the line's in the flow path, right? So they got to an area that was cooler. It just wasn't cool enough for them to survive. The flow path was also in this direction. So what's going on in this front hallway? Well, when hot gases are going out of the vent, and we sort of have cool air coming in the front door, providing some protection, some relief, if you will. Once we have wind, that's not there anymore. Flow reversal at the front door. Before glass failure, we've got cold air coming in low. After glass failure, we just have hot gases. We have unidirectional flow coming out of that front door. So what's going on here? I mean, if you send a crew in there on the downwind side on a windy day, right, to a working fire, basically you're saying you're putting their life is depending on whether or not a piece of glass, maybe 3/16 of an inch or 1/4 inch thick, fails. Right? Because that's going to create this transition. Again, another view of the flow path and where the victims were. They had nowhere to go. They couldn't go this way, it was too hot. They couldn't go that way, it was too hot. And there were security bars on the windows. So their face pieces melted out and they died. Again, you can see the damage is where the